city. DC wanted to avoid duplicating federal tax breaks in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act last year. Decoupling local and federal rates would have saved the city $600 million in revenue over the next several years. But congressional Republicans say this would deprive residents of benefits included in the bill. Arthur Jane, who advocates for DC autonomy as a shadow senator, fears this will create chaos in the city's tax filing process. Thousands have already filed returns.
This is not the way to govern a city like DC, where in the middle of a tax year, you continually just take money away from a jurisdiction because you don't like the people that live there.
Tombstone needs to sign the bill before it takes effect. With WMU, I'm Alex Turner.
Time now for a detailed look at the forecast. Here's Washington Post meteorologist Ian Livingston.
Gust boost wind chills this evening, but ease overnight. Lows settle across the 20s under clearing skies. Mainly sunny Friday, gusts around 20 miles per hour. Keep highs near 40, feeling a bit chillier. Milder to start the weekend Saturday. Highs end up in the upper 40s to mid 50s. Rain arrives late morning Sunday. Could start and end as snow, especially north of the Beltway. Otherwise, just a steady soaking rain. Pretty unpleasant with daytime temperatures in the mid 30s. Drier and sunnier President's Day. Highs reach the 40s. For the Capital Weather Gang, I'm Ian Livingston.
Currently 36 degrees in Washington, 34 degrees in Olney, and 34 degrees in Great Falls. I'm Kellen Quigley. This is WAMU 88.5. For more news anytime, visit WAMU.org.
Support for Capital Weather Gang on WAMU comes from UMBC's professional graduate programs at Shady Grove in Rockville.
Support for NPR comes from the station and from the Wallace Foundation, an independent, nonpartisan research foundation collaborating with grantees and partners in the arts, school leadership, and youth development. More at wallacefoundation.org. From the Arlen Hamilton Mill, focusing on civil liberties, fostering youth, public radio, and the arts. And from the William T. Grant Foundation, supporting research to improve the lives of young people at WTGrantFDN.org. From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Elsa Chang in Culver City, California.
And I'm Mary Louise Kelly in Munich on a rainy, soggy, gray afternoon. This city is known, among other things, for the Munich Agreement, 1938. So cast your mind back what was happening in 1938. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain shows up here. He cuts a deal along with his French and Italian counterparts, a deal that allows Nazi Germany to take Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia, and in exchange they promise peace. So basically the deal is Nazi Germany will give you this thing you really seem to want, and in exchange you're going to play nice. Which, needless to say, is not how things turned out. What turned out was World War II and all the horrors that came with it. I tell this story because we're in Munich for the Munich Security Conference at a moment when Europe is again facing a big decision, trying to figure out what are its values and how far is it willing to go to stand up for them. We're going to talk that through now with Alexandra de Scheffer, one of the many folks rolling into town today for the Munich Security Conference. She is president of the German Marshall Fund of the United States, which is a nonpartisan organization that works to advance U.S.-European cooperation. So welcome. Thank you. I'm saying those words out loud of what your organization does, working to advance U.S.-European cooperation. Does that feel like an endangered species in this moment?
Well, I think it's a time where we need to reinvent the transatlantic relationship.
I'm noting the verb you choose. Reinvent.
Yes.
Not rupture.
Yes.
Intentional?
It's very intentional.
Rupture is the word of the day because of Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, and him describing there's a rupture
Yes.
in the alliance.
Yes. I think you need to reframe it in a way that we're not going back to the old playbook. That's gone, but it's been already gone for a while. And so this is a time, and I hope this embassy will really be about it, for Europeans and Americans to get together, to be very honest
Diggins crashed hard in the first race in these Olympics on Saturday after snagging the tip of her ski in the snow. She says her rib was seriously injured, but not broken.
But it was just blunt force trauma, and so it's bruised. And then it's just been hard to sleep because I feel like I'm waking up because things are like clicking.
Diggins said the injury made it hard for her to breathe during this race, but she was able to prepare mentally before competing on a course that includes grueling uphill climbs and fast winding downhills. Skiers from Sweden took gold and silver with Sweden's Kim Carl Gustav watching in the stands. 8 years ago, Diggins snapped an Olympic losing streak for U.S. cross-country skiers that dated back to 1976, capturing a gold medal at the South Korea Games and a team event with fellow skier Keegan Randall. She also won silver and bronze in Beijing. She's announced that this will be her final Olympic Games, and she said today she will race in more events before these games are over, despite her injury.
We know racing can't make it worse. It just hurts, but that's it. So I'll keep racing because I'm really excited for the team events.
Diggins' accomplishment comes at a moment when the U.S. cross-country ski team is showing new strength, competing head-to-head with the Scandinavians who've long dominated this sport. This week, U.S. skier Ben Ogden won silver in the sprint race, the first man to medal in the Olympics for the U.S. in half a century. Ogden and Diggins both have real shots to reach the podium again before these games are done. Ryan Mann, NPR News, Val di Fiemme, Italy.
You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News.
Good evening. You are listening to WAMU 88.5. I'm Kellen Quigley. Last year, the Trump administration terminated the lease held by the National Links Trust to manage DC's 3 public golf courses. It also left the future of the country's oldest continuously operating mini golf course in limbo. WAMU's Matt Blitz plays a round of putt-putt and asks, what's next for this historic course?
Before the snow and ice froze the district, I met co-founder of the National Links Trust, Mike McCartney.
How many times have you played this course? I've probably played it, I don't know, 50 times.
He shows off his mini golf skills by putting through a wood cutout of a mini version of the U.S. Capitol.
Actually made a hole-in-one here, which I consider basically the highlight of my golf career. Mini golf or not mini golf.
The course is next to near Haynes Point. Like a full-size golf course, the mini version is 18 holes. But instead of sand traps and water hazards, golfers have to navigate a clown's mouth and cutouts of DC landmarks.
So you know exactly how hard to hit it around it.
You gotta have the lived experience of it, I guess.
In 2020, McCartney's nonprofit signed a 50-year lease with the federal government to operate, manage, and renovate DC's 3 public golf courses, including the nearly century-old mini golf course. It's even listed on the National Register of Historic Places and has been in continuous operation since 1931. But now, that piece of history is under threat. In December, the Interior Department scrapped the National Links Trust lease, saying the organization owes about $9 million in unpaid rent. McCartney disputes the claim, noting the lease explicitly states renovations can offset rent. The trust spent $1.5 million to renovate the mini golf course in 2024. They fixed the underground drainage, replaced the stonework, and restored elements from the course's glory years.
Probably the most fun thing was bringing back the obstacles that are within the course. There's a very large loop-de-loop that was part of the original course, which had been lost here on the second hole.
Mini golf's fortunes are disputed, but the game's popularity soared in the 1920s. Bob Detweiler founded the U.S. Pro Mini Golf Association, which oversees professional tournaments across the country and is one of the game's leading historians. He says mini golf was a popular Prohibition-era activity, with players flocking to courses.
The 20s, New York had them on top of their buildings, and people would go there dressed up to play miniature golf.
Detweiler says the game fell out of favor for a bit, but made a comeback in the 1990s. He says the game has a universal appeal.
This you can play around in an hour. And it's men, women, 80-year-old to 8 years old. They can all compete.
The democratic nature of mini golf also appeals to McCartney. but he also loves that there are no gimmies at East Potomac Park.
You get holes that take 4 or 5 shots to finish, where most current mini golf courses are designed to be like a 2-shot hole.
McCartan says paid admissions have increased by at least tenfold since the renovations were completed about a year and a half ago. But what comes next is not certain. McCartan believes his and the Trump administration's goals are similar, to have championship-level golf in the district, and has explored bringing a national mini golf tournament to East Potomac Park. For now, the trust will continue to operate East Potomac Park and the mini golf course until the federal government tells them otherwise.
I would suggest that anyone who has not been out to see the mini golf course come very quickly, because we honestly don't know what the future brings.
The Interior Department has not responded to WAMU's questions about what the agency intends to do with the course. With the snow and ice melting, the country's oldest continuously operated mini golf course is once again open for putting. McCartan and other mini golf enthusiasts are hoping it stays that way. For WAMU, I'm Matt Blitz.
Good evening. You are listening to WAMU 88.5, a story we are watching. A federal judge has temporarily blocked Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth from punishing Senator Mark Kelly for participating in a video that warned active duty service members not to follow illegal orders. The judge wrote that the move to discipline Mr. Kelly ran roughshod over his freedom of speech. We'll have details this evening on WAMU 88.5. And coming up in about 10 minutes on WAMU, younger firms have nearly double the work from home rate compared to their older peers. What this trend could mean for the future of work, that's in 10 minutes on WAMU.
How did you feel when you saw him, Clary?